Doodlebud here. Today we're reviewing this pen, the Nahvalur Eclipse, and unfortunately this video is not going to go the way I had hoped it was going to go, but we'll do it anyways, and let me explain what I mean by that. So during the summertime I saw Nahvalur announce the release of this new model. This is a retractable nib pen that you click, out it goes. I thought it looked really neat. And this was sort of in the, I guess like the pre-order stage, early order stage, and it was on for 99 bucks. And, you know, I could have reached out to them to see about getting me sent one to review, but I thought, you know, it's a cool looking pen. They obviously put some time and effort into the design and everything else, thought I should support them. So I happily placed an order and waited for the pen to arrive. I picked up the pen from my US post office delivery, and I was meeting a client, so I took the pen with me after the meeting. It was at a coffee shop. I took out the parcel. I was prepared. I took a bottle of ink from home, took out the nib unit, put it in, filled it up. I know what I'm doing. I've done this a ton of times. Put the pen together and start to write with it, and thought, hey, this writes quite nice. I like the overall feel of the dimensions as far as size goes. Everything was going really well. You know, played with the clicker, all that stuff, was happy with the action, and, you know, just noticing little things on the pen, wondering how they put it together and everything. And then I had to do a few phone calls, so I set the pen down, came back to it maybe in 20 minutes, and it already started hard starting. Thought that was kind of odd, but that problem didn't go away. It just persisted and got worse and worse. I took the pen home, flushed it out, tried a different ink, but no matter what I did, I found this pen would dry out extremely fast, 20 minutes sort of on average, half hour tops. Now, I was a little disappointed, but I wasn't really upset. Sometimes you can get something that's defective. So what I did a little just investigating into the pen to see why is it drying out so fast. Obviously the seal isn't sealing. And I did a quick little test comparing it against a Mahjong A1, which is a similar style pen, very similar to the Nahvalur. So I did the video, sent it to them. I'm going to show you the video now, and then we'll talk about how things went after that.
Hey there. So my Eclipse came in just today, and I noticed it dries out extremely fast. Just to compare, this is the front section from Mahjong A1. If I fill this full of water, I'll go right to the top here. Nothing comes out. Not a drop. I can blow on the end, and air doesn't even come out. On this one, I don't know if a part was missed, a seal was missed, or something wasn't assembled properly. But I can actually see light coming through the end. If I fill it up, it just comes out real fast. And so it dries out in about 10 or 20 minutes. So I just want to share this with you. I'm not going to share this public at all, but just wanted to bring this to your awareness. Let me know. I don't know if this is defective, what do you want me to do with the pen, or if this is sort of normal how it is.
So after a couple of weeks kind of waiting and back and forth and stuff like that, finally I heard back, and my contact there, now again, I didn't say my name's Doodlebud and I run a YouTube channel. I was just treating this as if I'm a regular customer. I didn't want any different type of treatment. I asked, you know, is in the video, is this how it's supposed to be intended, or, you know, is there a problem? And so she got back to me and said the design team had a look at the video and the pen was operating as intended. I thought that was kind of weird. It should dry out in 20 minutes and obviously have a bit of a leak going on compared to a competitor's brand that seals pretty decently. And so, you know, I kind of reiterated it that, you know, hey, by the way, I do reviews. I didn't mention my channel again, but I you know, if it's defective, it's defective, not a big deal. I just, you know, if this is not a good representation of the product, I'd like to know. I don't want there to be negative consequences. If we need to, you know, exchange it, we just exchange it. And the reply was, you know, it's doing what it's supposed to do. She did get back a little later suggesting I could send it for a repair. I'm up in Canada, so I'd have to drive into the US again, ship it. And it's just like, if there's a problem, let me know. I'm not looking for it to be repaired. It's a new item. I bought it. If there's a problem, just replace it, call it done. I don't want to buy a repaired one if there's an issue. So there was just a bunch of rigmarole for me. I have to go through and do all that. So here's the pen. I'll review it as is, and I'm going to see if I can maybe find a fix for it here at home. So that way, if someone else has the same problem, maybe we can come up with a solution. I hope it's not a common one, but I'd love to hear down there in the comments from other folks if you have one of these. What have been your findings as far as nib dry out time? I wanted to include this pen in round 2 of the great, capless pen nib dry out competition. I have a feeling there's no point in even entering it, or I will, and day 1 I'll check in. These will all be fine, and this one will be dry. I could do that as well. But hopefully at the end of the video, we'll see how this goes. I have an idea for a simple fix. We'll see if it works or not. But I'll go through and show you the pen. And I like it. It's just super disappointing because a pen that dries out in 20 minutes is pretty much unusable. For a quick size comparison, here is a real Pilot Vanishing Point Mahjong A1 Jinhao. What do they call it now? I forget. It's a Jinhao 10, I think it is. And then a Lamy Safari. And here we go. Cap off on this one, nibs out on these. So there's a good little look. Hopefully that helps address any questions you have on size. It definitely is a thicker pen, as you can see. If we go across sort of on the flats, about 14 millimeters, man, these things are dusty, versus on the Mahjong A1, just a little bit under 13. It feels like it's thicker, just the size of it, and you also have a little bit of corners as well. It is thicker in the hand, and I do like the size of it. I find it fits on my hand quite nicely. And I enjoyed it. It's quite comfortable. I'll talk about the clicker in a second. And the looks and everything, it's pretty darn neat. If we pop it on the scale, comes in at 35.5 grams. And just for comparison with a proper Pilot Vanishing Point, let's call it 31 grams. So just a little bit heavier, but it almost feels a little bit lighter in the hand, I guess just because it's bigger. Unless you're super brand new to fountain pens, you're aware the Pilot Vanishing Point has a nice little clicker button on the back. Super sleek design. My favorite is the older vintage style. I think these are still the best ones, but super convenient to use, really, really nice, all that great stuff. This one is different how the clicker works. The button isn't up here. The whole body kind of compresses together how they slide. They have all these cutouts. I'll show you the bits here in a second. You still get the click action, nib extends, all that good stuff. But yeah, just different mechanism. So that's kind of neat. You can have it and, click it on a pen like you do with a regular Pilot Vanishing Point. You can hold it like this. Now, depending on your hand size, you can go and you can click it like this. I do this sometimes. I'll have it, and I'll just reach back, click it like so. The other one, the most common one I do is I just sort of grab it with the pinky. I don't squeeze these ones, and just do that type of motion. That's my most common one. Sometimes, like I said, between the fingers doing that, it can be a little bit tricky, and sometimes you're squeezing here. So the click is a little bit more fussy. Here, it's just a button. There's nothing to get in the way. You just click it and push it. The whole sliding body mechanism is a little bit different, but for me, the easiest way, you just grip up close. Usually I'm holding it in the hand like this. I just grab the pen, out comes the nib, and that's the best way for me. But I can get some people with, depending on your hand size, you might find that a little bit finicky and just prefer just the regular button. But it doesn't look as cool as this. Pen comes undone. You sort of have a blind cap in the back here, and this is one thing I found, is it seems to really get tight. Sometimes you have to really crank it to crack it. But there we go. As you're unscrewing it, the body comes apart. There is a spring down there, so depending how you do it, this could sort of spring out a little bit, but nothing too crazy. And then you have your nib unit, which resembles very similar to what you have on a Pilot Vanishing Point or the Mahjong A1s or the Jinhao 10, I believe it's called. So very, very similar. I haven't actually tested if they're interchangeable. I could see there being a few differences. Maybe I'll do that in a moment, but I haven't tested that just because the pen hasn't really been working. Now, how it goes together, you have some plastic bits here. It sort of looks like it might be an ink window initially, but you can't see through that. So it's just there for appearances. The parts sort of float around with the clicker there. One thing I've noticed is these edges are quite crisp. So let's get you in a little bit closer there. Sorry for the bump, but you can see just these edges, like it's pretty crisp. You can shave your fingernail pretty good with that on there, and it takes it off. So I think the edges could benefit from being broken if these parts are done Like, I understand how they go together. Like, oh no, let me clean off my nail filings. I got a macro lens, so I might as well put it on, then I can show you. So here we go. You can see the parts, how there's a little bit of a wedge to the design. So they go together like so. And you can see the seams are super, super tight. Everything's really, really close to give that look. But then the drawback is all your edges are pretty blocky and squares, which means they have a bit of a bite to them. Not necessarily the most comfortable feel in the hand. I do think these parts could benefit from going in a tumbler with a little bit of an abrasive, like a ceramic abrasive or whatever, just to break those edges. It would still fit nicely, but just clean up that feel a little bit more. And if I get the lighting right, this pen has had minimal use because it dries out super quick. Therefore, I don't use it. You can see already scratches and gouges on the plastic just because those edges are so crisp. I might as well check it really quick right now. Right here, I put in the Jinhao nib unit and assembly with the converter. It seems to fit in there no problem. And the Eclipse one, yeah, that's not quite fitting in that notch. It's a little bit too tight. It's grabbing on there, so it seems the notch is a little bit different. Let's try the Mahjong A1. I'll pop that in there. Okay, same thing with the notch. It's not quite fitting. Actually, if you look at this one, having a closer look, it appears, yes, that notch is a little bit crooked. That's most likely the culprit there. Let's see if the Eclipse nib unit fits in. I guess it does fit, but it's grabbing a little bit. Let me get a different Mahjong and see how that works. It seems like it does fit in and clicks no problem. Let me get another Mahjong A1 unit and see how that nib assembly goes. I double check the notch on this one and it appears to be no problems. It seems to fit. Let's see how this goes. I do have that little protector on the back. I'm not sure if this pen's going to like it or not. Yeah, it seems to work. Everything seems to fit in there. Lastly, let's try one from an original Pilot. Okay, here we go. Here is the Pilot vanishing point nib unit. Oh yeah, that fits in there perfectly. Super smooth, even better than how the Narwhal nib unit fits in there, of course. Snug it down. Oh, is it not snugging down? Let me see. I don't want to damage anything here. Let me just try this again. Okay, there we go. Everything seems to click no problem. Clearances seem okay. And yeah, this fits in there no problem too. So everything looks good. You can put the Narwhal in a Pilot and the Pilot in a Narwhal. Now, as I went back into trying to track down the leaking and just comparing against my other pens, I did the water test on all of them, but also what you can do is you put your lips around the end and you blow on the pen. And if it's sealing well, like on this Pilot or even my Mahjongs, I put my mouth on there, I blow, and nothing comes out. I can't feel any air. I'll tap my finger to see if I can hear a tiny little pitch, and I hear complete silence. And I can feel the pressure in my mouth as you're blowing on here. There's no air getting out. It's actually a really good method to determine if there's a leak on something, and I can't feel anything. Now, I can't say the same thing on the Jinhao 10. I do the same test, and I can hear air escaping, and I'll tap my finger on it. You can hear it as well. I'll do it onto the microphone so you can hear. I hope the microphone picked that up. Let me do the exact same test now on the Narwhal. Now, you might think my lips aren't sealing around the edges quite well because you have these little edges and that's just air getting past the side. That is not the case. I had the very tip of the pen up to the microphone, tapping it with my finger. If air was escaping out the sides, you would not be hearing that effect. So you could hear, like, this Jinhao 10, it's not the best for nib dry out. These other ones do quite well. All my other ones do actually do fairly good. You've seen a previous test. Even after a month, they do quite well. Jinhao 10 is not lasting overly long comparison to the other ones that do well. Makes sense because you can hear the leak. And this one, like I said, 20, 30 minutes. It makes a lot of sense because air is just coming straight out of this thing. Now, I did have a look at the mechanism inside. I'm going to put the macro lens on, get you some lighting, see if I can show you what I found. And we're going to do an attempt at a possible fix. I will do a writing sample in a moment, but getting this pen to seal to me is the most important thing, because it doesn't matter how well a pen writes. If it dries out all the time, it's super annoying. That's why for me, I think nib dry out on any pen, I don't care if it's got a cap or no cap, on any pen, if it's super quick and nibs dry out fast, it's to me such an oversight in a pen. One of the Achilles heels of fountain pens is the liquid ink. If it's not sealed properly, it dries out, renders the pen useless, or at least super annoying. You have to dip it all the time. It's a problem, and that it's easy to fix it if you just have a cap or capless. Whatever sealing mechanism you have just has to work properly, and everything's great. If a nib is bad, if there's a problem with the nib, if it's too dry, if it's out of alignment or something like that, or if it's just a bum nib, you can swap it or fine tune it. In many cases, it could be literal seconds, 10 seconds, and now your pen is writing properly. I can fix that. Lots of folks can fix that. But if you have an inherent design flaw where it's just not going to seal, it's tough to fix that, and sometimes you can't. So here's the end of the pen. You can see the little trapdoor flap mechanism. I'm going to put this in here and pull it down, and hopefully I can get enough light in there to show you. Of course I can't. What we have inside, oh, I wish I could show that to you. There is a little plastic tube. Let's crank up the phone white balance. Try one more time. And we just can't get oh, you can barely see it in the background, but there's a little white plastic tube. It has an angle cut on it, and this trap door goes up against that to seal. So the quick and dirty method I at least want to try before I start taking things apart is to see if there is a way to just soften that plastic a little bit. It's easy for me to push on that trap door and maybe get a better mating surface between the two. I heated up the water with the microwave. Actually, it did boil a little bit in there. Oh, it's hot. Let me get a glove. I got a towel. So this thing is pretty hot. And I'm just going to go in there and just apply pressure on that for a bit. I'm going to blow in this thing to let it cool and just keep pressure on it the whole time. And then we can check really quick. I can just, again, see if I can blow air out the front of it. We'll listen for that sound, then we'll do a water test and see if this improves it at all. I gave that a try. It improved the seal, but I ended up just taking off the whole front nose of the pen so we can really find the problem. The glue softens from the heat. So you just take off the clip, it pulls off, take off the nose, and now we have the little business end down here. And now we can actually see exactly what the problem was. And there's simply a little bit of a fold here. So I'm not sure if it's most likely a little injection molded part. And it appears there's a little flaw in it, and we have this little flap. So it's not sitting properly because there's a crease in it. And this is, it's not a big deal, but this is what I thought probably happened. There's a little defect in a part for it to seal, and that's the cause of it. So now what we're going to do is see, I'm going to give it a closer look, but I'm going to see if I can fix that and get the pen sealing properly. So using my little mini scalpel here, I went in, I would open the flap, and I just cut away that little remnant. It appeared like it's just a little leftover from the injection molding of the part. I cut the little flap off. I put it on here to try to save it to show you up close. It's so small, I can't find it, but let me get you a close-up now so you can see how it looks. So here we go. We open it up, and that little flap is gone. It's a little bit rough. I tried to find a fresh blade. I just couldn't find it. That one's a little beat up, so the cut isn't as clean as I'd want. You can see there's a tiny little remnant there. That's okay. That's on the inside edge, but that fold over is gone. It's kind of funny that when I got this, that's exactly what I suspected, that there's some type of seal and maybe there's a little fold or just wasn't quite installed right. Anyways, I'm going to put the front of the pen back on. Let's try this out. It's actually one day later. It was getting quite late on my end. I had to get some sleep. Also, I wanted to leave the pen inked up and see how it does. So I left it inked, used it first thing in the morning for work, and the dry starts, hard starts, all that kind of stuff are gone. The nib is now nicely sealed. Everything stays wet, and I'm really enjoying using the pen because I can actually use it. Let's write with it. So I have to tell you, now that it seals, it's quite enjoyable. I liked using it. The grip section, I kind of hold it right near the bottom at the clip. Just this whole area here, I find the edges aren't as sharp, and that is the grip section, so it's a lot more comfortable. I would like it if it was a little bit more refined as far as just having just those little edges broken off. That whole process, you can just chuck a whole batch into a vibratory finisher and achieve that for essentially no money. So that'd be nice if just some of those features were fixed. Again, the seal, this is why it's like one of the first things I check on a pen, because you can have all sorts of neat things with the pen. A bum seal will just render it useless, so that it is infuriating when it's there. Again, I don't know if mine's a one-off and it just happened. I wish they handled the response a little bit better. I will be, sending them my video to show them, hey, that guy that you're chatting with, he, by the way, runs a YouTube channel. You might want to look into that on your pens. Be interesting if they, offer just that part as a replacement. Mine is better, but like I showed on there, there's a little rough edge, so the sealing probably isn't as good as it can be. I will be entering this into the capless pen sealing competition to see how it does. My hopes aren't overly high. Maybe it's going to last a week now instead of 10-20 minutes. That's a massive improvement, but I'm just not sure how well that seal works. So yeah, I will let you know if they contact me afterwards how things go. I'll make an update on that. Just going to have to leave it there. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this new Nahvalur Eclipse. Let's see what your thoughts are on this one. Do you have one? Do you have a nib dryout issue? By the way, if you do have that issue and you go ahead, start ripping this off and taking the pen apart and cutting at things, that is on you. I am not responsible if you mess up your pen. I felt comfortable doing that to my own pen. That doesn't mean you should do it to yours. I imagine if I just bought this directly from a retailer, your Pen Chalets, your Goldspots, whoever, I'm pretty sure if I reached back out to them and told them the issue I was having, they just want me to send the pen back. They send me a new one, call it a day. So I think that that probably would have been handled a little bit better there. But nonetheless, it's working. I think it looks cool. I'm almost tempted to get another one of these. The black with the gold, I think that looks kind of cool. So, but I'll be able to use this a bunch more to determine if it is worth purchasing again. Anyways, like I said, if you got one, let me know down there. Click on the thumbs, the subscribe, the join if you're interested. I'll have links in the description as always. Catch you next time.